Hello everybody. In this video, me and my colleague Timirlan are going to present our opinions on the very debatable issue. So the issue for today, did the United States enter to the First World War because of the self-defense? And I'm going to present the view supporting these arguments that the United States entered to the World War because of the self-defense. And Timirlan are going to present the view against it.
Hello, yes, thank you for introduction. And I'm just fine today. And if you want to start, you can start.
Yeah, I would like to start. So my first argument would be based on the unrestricted submarine warfare. So German U-boats attack on neutral and the civilian vessels, including the American ships, posed a direct threat to the American lives and the property. The sinking of the RMS in Louisiana in 1915, which resulted in the deaths of 128 Americans. And this is significantly influenced by public opinion and strained diplomatic relations with Germany, as well as the Germany's resumption of the unrestricted submarine warfare in the 1917, which led to the sinking of several American merchant ships, was the pivotal factor in the United decision to enter the World War. This aggressive strategy by Germany was seen as a direct threat to the American security and some economic interests. And of course, I would like to present the view that support my argument because of the very famous fact that the Zimmermann telegram, for example, the interception of the Zimmermann telegram, in which Germany proposed a military alliance with Mexico against the United States, offering to support Mexico in reclaiming lost terrorists. And it was perceived as a direct threat to the national security of the United States. This revelation further, motivated American public opinion against the Germany and contributed the justification for entering to this war. Of course, the another argument that supports my very, I guess, the obvious position on that the United States entered to the World War, because that United States are on the another continent, and actually they didn't have any self-interest in the entering into this war, but because of the threat to the national security by Germany and Mexico, they made this decision, and I think that it was the right decision for beat this Germany.
Okay. And my position is that the United States entered the First World War not because of the self-defense, but because of other reasons. And first of all, I would like to tell about the economical and political situation in the world in those times. So we have Europe with different empires and different countries, and those empires had a lot of colonies around the world. That's why they call it the World War. Of course, the people in those times didn't know that it would be the first World War. They called it Great War. But we understand that this war really shaped the world and the world political situation in the future. And we have to understand that people, countries, empires wanted to divide the resources that they had. And the US in this situation was just some democratic country in America, in New World, that not many people know and respect. And US wanted to change this position, and US wanted to be more powerful, be more richer in economic field in those times. And of course, they saw this war as an opportunity. When they entered the World War in 1917, they didn't know that it would last just 1 year more, of course, but they saw how this war like starting to get to the end because of the fact that they see how the Germans couldn't resist the attack of France and Russia. They just fought in two fronts. They couldn't fight in two fronts. Uh, so the US saw opportunity to enter into this war because of the economic interests and because of political interests. So by the 1917, the US had lent already substantial amounts of money to the Allied powers, to allies like Great Britain, France, and other European countries. And they wanted to ensure that Allied victory would secure those loans and maintain economic stability. And a defeat of the Allies could have just disappear those investments and disrupt the American economy. So they wanted to save those European countries. And of course, it would increase also the geopolitical influence of US because the entering to the war allowed the US to assert itself as a global power. The President Woodrow Wilson and other policymakers, they saw participation in the war as an opportunity to shape the post-war world order and promote American ideals of democracy and self-determination on other countries on an international stage. And that would allow Americans to determine how the world will exist in the next few years. And another argument would be that they did it not only for self-defense, they did it because of the fact that there was disruption of international trade routes by the German ships. And of course, as United States was in a great position, geographical position, where they can trade with East countries and West countries, with European countries, with Africa, they didn't want to disrupt these trade routes. So the German ships that tried to disrupt the trade between allies, I mean the Great Britain and France and US, the Germans want to disrupt the routes because of the fact that the trade between US and allies would allow them to sustain more in this war. So Germans wanted to disrupt this. And of course, US didn't want this because of the fact that it decreases the level of their economy. It does not allow US to trade with European countries. And they wanted to stop this. They wanted to work their trade routes efficiently. And I think the Americans saw all of this opportunities, they saw all of this, and they used the Zimmerman telegram that you already mentioned about as a cause to enter into this war, because of the fact if they did enter into this war just because they wanted to promote their economic and political ambitions, the other world would see it as a threat to them. So they just, I think, took their opportunity and made their brands, US, more powerful in the world.
Yeah, thank you, Timurlan. Well, I have a question for you. So,
Mhm.
before entering to the First World War, the United States was the main supplier of the United Kingdom and the France. And actually, like this country have really like good economic situation in that time. And don't you think that the United States didn't have any like economic interest to make this country more famous for another countries.
Yes, I can definitely say that they didn't see any interest in making Great Britain or France more popular or powerful. They just saw opportunity for them and only for them because of the fact that if you trade more, you gain more. So they wanted to sustain and maintain those relationships between those countries, and
Yeah.
they wanted to save those roads and trades and
But anyway, it was before the entry into the World War. It was like the natural position for them before. And like I don't think that the just making your country more famous, like in Europe, for example, that's a really good decision for making it, you know?
I think they saw us. I think they saw that they could just spend less resources to that actions and they can get a lot of benefits from that because I know that they didn't use a lot of millions of American soldiers. If I'm not mistaken, they like transferred about 550,000 50,000 people to the Europe, or maybe 100,000 people. So I don't think that's a lot. And
Well, as Wikipedia showed to me that like in early 19th in the early 20th century, the United States have really good like economic stability in this country. They didn't need any, any other famous decisions for making this country more like popular than others. And do you know the consequences of the First World War for United States? One of the main factor for the Great Depression, do you know what's the Great Depression? Whereas the Wall
yes,
Street stock crashed and the America was very poor country. The one of the factor was the entry into the First World War.
mhm.
And I believe that the economists of the United States knew that, but there's was the one of the main purposes for entering this world war only the national security. Because without this national security, the America will not exist. Am I right? So the only factor why they entered to this world war was the national security because the economic stability was good. The popularity of the United States was good as well because they have really like stable position in the world. It was the one of the leader. So yeah,
I don't think that the US was rich on those times. I don't think that they were
it was
too
rich.
developed.
It was rich because of the Hollywood and the other, industries. Hollywood, some, coal industry, mining industry. It was one of the best countries in the world by the economic stability. And that's why the lot of immigrants came to United States at that time from Italy, from the Jewish people came a lot of.